Welcome to Tactical Reviews for this video on the Extrema Ratio A.M.F or Advanced Multifunction, which I'm especially excited to be working on as it's inspired by one of my absolute favourites, a classic from the 80s. And this is filling up all of my studio because this is a large knife and this is how it arrives. Let's get rid of this packaging. And here's the A.M.F out of the box. Before we go on and look at all of the details that Extrema Ratio have put into the modern design, what I would like to do is take a look at some of the inspiration of where this design has come from. So here we have the A.M.F and next to an original version of the B.M.F, or the basic multifunction. So this goes right the way back to the 1980s, and actually even between this knife and Extrema Ratios there were a few, well in fact several variations. If we take the original 8-inch B.M.F through the time where sawbacks were very popular for reasons we all know, then actually in terms of the design we have the plain blade, then the sawback, the 8-inch version, and then in fact this grew and we moved up to a 9-inch B.M.F. So in terms of proportion, in fact the A.M.F lies slightly between, so blade length is slightly down on the longest of the B.M.Fs that were produced before that was discontinued, but you can see here how in terms of design evolution this isn't the earliest example I could get hold of, onto a 9-inch plain back B.M.F, and thank you Extrema Ratio for bringing back this blade shape in the Extrema Ratio A.M.F version. And here we are back with the Extrema Ratio A.M.F. Before we go and look at all of the detail of the knife, what we're going to do is concentrate on the sheath, which is packed full of design details, and as the sheath and how you carry the knife is as important as the knife, Extrema Ratio also always make an excellent job of this. So it's a large sheath, large knife, and on the front we have a series of webbing to allow you to add extra modules, just tie things to it however you would like. A large knife often has to be secured onto your leg, so on there we have some paracord tied ready for you to then put onto your leg. This is for an overall view, and we'll come in and look at some of those finer details. So also all down the back webbing, and we have these Molle fixing strips. So let's come in and take a closer look. Okay, so we've had to come in nice and close here, and this I'm not sure if it's going back again to the inspiration of the design, but the very top of the sheath here has a section which you would actually be able to pass some cord through. On the original there was a loop at the top of the sheath, and that would often be used for securing it down. Then we have the retention strap, And you'll see, again, in keeping with a lot of Extrema ratio sheaths, this has got Velcro, and it allows you to, let's take a look in there, so that the Velcro hooks on the inside, so you can completely remove this should you wish, but also it allows you to take that off, swap it round, and have it opening the other way if that suits you better. So all of this very nicely stitched together with a spacer to accommodate the thick blade, a liner to protect the fabric from the blade tip, and then onto the back. So with all the webbing straps, you then have these two Molle adapters, which allow you to have basically simply a belt loop, or also allow you to weave it into webbing. If you do put it on webbing, just like the fact you need to tie it to your legs to stop it flapping around, there's another Molle adapter so that this long sheath gets attached in two places. And that's the detailed look over the sheath. Let's move on to the A.M.F itself. So although the A.M.F may have been inspired by an 80s classic, Extrema ratio have absolutely made it their own in all of the details, bringing it up to date, new materials, and those subtle design aspects that make it unmistakably Extrema ratio. So what we'll do is come in and take a really close look at this very large knife. So starting close up in an area that is most unmistakably Extrema ratio, and that's the handle and the shaping of the grip, which you couldn't fail to recognize as Extrema ratio. Also, in bringing the design up to date, there are the angles and shape of the guard elements, which are enhancing what was originally there, making it more protective and more usable. Distinctive shape of the pommel, and then as we move along the long blade, very simple and effective blade shape. Just hope the camera keeps on here. So for this A.M.F, there's a fixing screw in the end of the pommel. Just get that so the writing's the right way up. And I expect this steel to be significantly more stainless than the 80s version, which has got a bit of a reputation for becoming a bit of a rusty mess. Not with the Extrema ratio A.M.F. let's zoom back out just to look at the ergonomics. Just coming back out to look at how this is in terms of handling. It's a large knife. Let's say it's slightly under 9-inch blade, but that is effectively what it is, a 9-inch knife. So just show. So we have it sheathed. You can see my XL size hands, or XL glove size. And a very, very palm filling grip. We just show how it's closed around as much as I can on that handle. It's completely filling my hand. A nice sense of protection from the rear guard. So here we have the advanced multifunction, and now we'll move on to the detailed technical measurements. And now we're moving on to the detailed technical measurements for the Extrema ratio A.M.F. So first up is the weight with sheath, which is 663 grams. Overall length in the sheath is 39.5 centimeters. So width in the sheath is 8 centimeters. The sheath thickness really peaks at this area, and that comes out at 59 millimeters. So weight of just the knife. So that's 481 grams. Overall length, that's 34.5 centimeters. Blade length is 20.7 centimeters. You can see the swell in the grip. So the widest point 32.2 millimeters, and the same spot gives us the maximum depth, which is 36.6 millimeters. Let's have a look at where the balance point is. So it is just to readjust things here slightly, because the guard was slightly interfering, and there we have the balance point. And that is 20.2 centimeters from the tip. Blade thickness, maximum's here. .1 blade thickness. This is a flat grind. So grind length 19.3 and the blade is 36.7 at the same point. So we'll measure the primary bevel angle. And that is 16 degrees and 38 minutes. 16 degrees 38 minutes. Have a look at the factory edge bevel. So the right hand is 22 degrees and the left hand is also 22 degrees. Point angle. So point angle is 59 degrees. Thickness behind the edge, so at the just at the top of this edge bevel. It's 1.31 millimeters. Let's just take that again. .33 millimeters thickness behind the edge. Without doing anything, I'm just going to call this straight, no rake. And then let's have a look at the factory edge sharpness. Center sharpness. .293 grams. Now with the guard I've got to just be careful of not hitting anything. So heel sharpness 209 grams. this over for enough space. And the tip sharpness ,508 grams. Thank you for joining me in this look at the Extrema ratio A.M.F. And remember, get informed, be prepared, stay sharp.